Okay, so I wanted to talk about password security. I think it's like the basis of having a security mindset, and I think this is where many people fail because there are a lot of people who are still creating an online account and they're still using like password 123 or their name and the number one or zero or different things like that. So I know sometimes we go through password fatigue where it's like so complicated to try and remember all the different passwords that we have to create for all the different accounts. So, what people normally do is that they just use the same password across different accounts, which is not recommended. For each account that you create, you should have a separate or a unique password for each account. And for you to have like a better control of your passwords, this is where a password notebook comes in. It's very essential for you to jot down your passwords. And I know, and I must emphasize this part, that many people they prefer password managers, which are awesome as well. But I believe that in the past decade there have been like a lot of data breaches. So like many people who used to use password managers, their password end up on the dark web, and or they're somewhere on the internet, and people can gain access to their accounts, or hackers can use that same password to get into their different accounts. So you have to be careful, and this is why I recommend the password notebook, where you can have like a better control. Yes, it's in physical, it might get wet, it might get damaged, but I mean, if you're keeping this offline, because that's the best way to avoid having your passwords being stolen or being added or put on the dark web. The best way to do it is to keep it offline. So if your passwords are offline, the only person that will be able to steal your password will be someone who comes into your home and steals your password. But it really wouldn't make a lot of sense for someone to just come into your home specifically and find where you put your password notebook. So that's why I recommend having it in physical, because if you have it in a notebook, you can quickly check it whenever you need it. If you have any important things to do, let's say on the road or wherever you're going to the office, you can definitely keep your password notebook also in your handbag, in your backpack, or whatever. But this is the best way that you can actually keep your passwords off the internet and keep them safely stored at home. So what you do is that here, for example, in account, you would write, let's say, Facebook. Okay, and you write your username. Like, sometimes with Facebook you can use your cell phone or your email, so you can decide to write the username or the name that you have on Facebook. You would write it here, and in email you would write the email that you use also to create your account, or the phone number. Also, this is where you have two lines where you can write your passwords. I highly recommend that your passwords be between 8 or 16 characters, and this could include uppercase and lowercase letters. You could also include numbers, symbols. So the longer your password is and the more diverse it is, the better, or the more difficult it is for hackers to use brute force attack on your accounts. So this is why I recommend that you have long passwords starting from 8 or 10. That's an ideal password, and include all, let's say, the uppercase, the lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, etc. I was gonna say something else. Oh, also, never use consecutive letters or numbers. So let's say if you use one, you shouldn't use two, or let's say zero. No, if you're going backwards, or if you use A, you shouldn't use B immediately after. So try to switch them up. So you have like a lot of different characters that you can play around with. And the idea is not for you to remember your password. Like, if I hear a lot of people say, okay, how to create a strong password that you can actually remember. If you remember the passwords, then that is actually a risk. The idea is not for you to be able to remember them. It's for you to be able to enter into your accounts, yes, whenever you need them. That's why you have to jot them down. And it's also it has to be something so difficult that not even you can remember, or even a hacker cannot like link it to you. Because I've seen people where they use their names, their pets' names, their first car, different things that we also use for the security questions. Like here in Hint, you normally put like, what's the security question? What's the answer to your security question? So we have to be careful. So create passwords that really don't have anything to do with you, because if it has to do with something personal, then it's easier for threat actors to guess this password, and they might gain access to your account. Because normally we share things on the internet that we're not supposed to, and you might end up sharing relevant details, especially with these trends where you share what's your pet's name, or what's your favorite color, what's your first car, what's the mark of the brand of your first this, or stuff like that. So that's why you have to be careful, because you never really know when you might share some particular information that you actually use to create an account, and that is when threat actors will be able to gain access to your accounts. And what we have to take into consideration is that cybersecurity, or the security mindset, is not only about you, it's about other people. So let's say you create an account for the company where you're working at, and you use an easy password, no, that you can remember, so you don't go through password fatigue. Then you share some information online, and then the threat actors, they know where you work. Then if they investigate enough about the company, they know what particular system or software they use. And then if you share this information, now they can guess your password, or they can do brute force attack, and then they get into your account. The thing is that it's not only going to affect you. What they're trying to do is to get at the database of this particular organization, and this is when they start stealing like massive information from these companies, and then they start selling them on the dark web, or they ask for a ransom. Okay, so these companies will end up have to pay a lot of money. So whenever you're creating an account, you have to think about that it's not only about you, because most of the times, threat actors are not interested in us as individuals. They're interested in companies, large organizations. They're interested in multi-billion-dollar organizations. They're interested in people who have a lot of influence on social media, or people who have privilege in different organizations, people who have access to large database, people who have access, to different systems. So this is what we have to take into consideration. It is not always about you, but they will use you as the bait in order to get to what they really want. Because you might have heard a lot of data breaches recently. That's it. They're not after you because your individual information is not relevant. It's not important. But imagine now 1 million users in a database. That information is worth a lot. So that's why we have to be careful. So whenever you're thinking about creating an account, just keep that security mindset always present, because it's not always about you. You might just be the bait for them to get into the system or the software that they're trying to gain access to. So as I mentioned, it's very easy. You have a lot of pages too. What I recommend is that you guide yourself. Like, let's say if you're going to create an account for Facebook, then you could go to F. This is also easy for you to remember. And then you just write Facebook. Let's say if it's for Gmail, you would go to G and you write Gmail, no? And you put in all your information. This is the best way to keep track of all your accounts. Trust me, I'm telling you. I've been using this and it's so easy. Whenever you need the information, just check in your notebook instead of trying to guess and trying to remember, oh, what's my password? Or simply using a password that is so easy that you remember, that in the end your account might get hacked and you might lose a lot of information, or you might be the person responsible for a data breach. So always keep that in mind. Also, if you are running like your small business and you have to set up, like, let's say that's like for emergency information here, but let's say you have to set up like different things, your operating system, or let's say you buy some kind of software, you can add your account, your user, your password, your PC admin username, password as well. Also, when I'm setting up like my email address for, let's say, your professional domain email, you can fill out all this information so that you never lose them or you remember them every time. Also, if you buy an SSL certificate, you can, add in all the information. So I mean, it has a lot of information. This is also available on the website. And I recommend this password notebook. But if you continue to use a password manager, that's okay. But it's also good to have like a backup of all your passwords just in case. Okay. And also, like, if you keep control of all your password, it's better to have like, or it's easier to have a password hygiene, because what you can do is that in the future, if you decide to change your password, all you do is cross it out and you can write down the next information, no? So you keep track of what password you used to use before and which one you use now. So let's say, for example, you use a particular bank and they experience a data breach. They send this alert to all their customers to say that we have experienced a data breach and we recommend that you change your passwords across your different accounts. Or if you use the particular password for your bank account, you change them on the other accounts that you use them, because many people, they repeat their passwords. So let's say that's the case. What you would do now is to just simply go to your password notebook. You know that it's the specific bank, no? You write down the name of the bank, the account, blah, blah, blah. You have that information. So if you get an alert like that, it's easier to back up. So what you do is just simply cross out the old password and you change it quickly and you just update your new password. And if you can easily check to see which other accounts you have used that same password, and you can reset your passwords immediately. So I mean, it's always good to have good control over your passwords. I recommend this password notebook. It's on my website if you're interested, and I also have other cool things that you might be interested in buying. Okay, so thank you, and yep, thank you very much. Bye.